Paul Pierce versus LeBron James, one of the NBA's most heated rivalries. But did it really end when they hung up their jerseys? Or did the battles just shift to viral soundbites, with each new headline keeping old wounds alive? We know about the trash talk, the legendary playoff duels, like that 2008 Game 7, where Pierce dropped 41 and LeBron answered with 45. But here's the twist. This feud didn't just shape their legacies on the court. By the end, you'll see how Pierce turned on-court drama into a media brand, and what that means for anyone eyeing a sports media role. If you're into the business side of sports storytelling, hit subscribe. Let's dive in. So how did a simple clash on the basketball court grow into one of the NBA's most personal and lasting feuds? We have to look past just the final scores. Back in the late 2000s, the NBA spotlight was locked on a brewing conflict. Paul Pierce, known as The Truth, carried the Boston Celtics with a swagger and grit that defined the team's identity. Across the court stood a younger LeBron James, already a superstar with the Cleveland Cavaliers and widely seen as the future face of the league. Their paths were set for collision, and every meeting felt loaded with more than just playoff implications. Pierce's approach wasn't just about basketball skill. He was a master at stoking the fire, using words as much as his game. Before the legendary 2008 Eastern Conference semifinals Game 7, Pierce famously told reporters, "I'm the better player," directly challenging LeBron. That wasn't just trash talk, it was a calculated attempt to rattle LeBron, to claim mental real estate before the opening tip. Pierce thrived on this psychological warfare, always looking for an edge. LeBron's answer was to drop monster numbers against Boston, letting his stat lines speak louder than trash talk. The 2010 Eastern Conference semifinals added another chapter. Pierce's veteran Celtics stunned the top-seeded Cavs in 6 games, sending Cleveland home and triggering a wave of speculation about LeBron's future. That loss wasn't just a playoff disappointment, it became a turning point for LeBron, pushing him to leave Cleveland for Miami that summer. The Celtics, and Pierce in particular, had become a barrier he couldn't break through, at least not yet. What made Pierce so tough in these battles? Beyond his words, he delivered in the biggest moments. In Game 7 of the 2008 series, with the score tight and less than a minute to play, Pierce dove for a loose ball, screamed as he called timeout, then calmly sank both free throws. That sequence didn't just electrify the crowd, it rattled the Cavs' morale and showed the kind of clutch presence Pierce brought when everything was on the line. The tension didn't just run one way. LeBron's individual performances against the Celtics were often spectacular. In that same 2008 Game 7, LeBron poured in 45 points, refusing to back down in the face of Pierce's challenges and Boston's physicality. It was a duel that felt more personal than most playoff matchups, each star pushing the other to new heights. But when the final buzzer sounded, it was Pierce and the Celtics who moved on, and Pierce's 41 points that became a cornerstone of his legacy. That win, and the championship Boston claimed later that year, gave Pierce ammunition for his claims of superiority, a narrative he'd carry well beyond his playing days. These playoff battles weren't just about who advanced, they became defining moments in both players' careers, shaping how fans and the media viewed them. The rivalry was fueled by pride, skill, and a willingness to challenge each other in every way possible. And even as the series ended and the players walked off the court, the story between Pierce and LeBron was far from over. The intensity and personal stakes of those years would soon find a new outlet, one that didn't require a jersey or a scoreboard. For Pierce and LeBron, the rivalry did not just fade, it adapted. As Pierce's career wound down, he started to pivot from player to commentator, edging closer to the broadcast spotlight. But even before he became a full-time media presence, his old battles with LeBron found new life in unexpected places. One moment, in particular, stands out: the 2014 playoff series between the Brooklyn Nets and the Miami Heat. According to Bleacher Report, Pierce went to his coach before Game 4 and asked for the LeBron assignment. This wasn't just a tactical move for the team. Pierce explained, "I know his tendencies a little bit more, so I wanted that assignment." It was a direct nod to their shared history, a sign that, for Pierce, the personal challenge still mattered. LeBron knew exactly what was at stake. Instead of taking the bait with words, he responded on the court. In Game 4, LeBron delivered a playoff career-high 49 points, making it clear that any challenge from Pierce would be met head-on. and then some. After a powerful dunk, LeBron locked eyes with Pierce, sending an unmistakable message of dominance. That moment wasn't just about the scoreboard, it was about sending a signal to Pierce, to the Nets, and to anyone still watching their rivalry. The aftermath was immediate. Media outlets and fans seized on Pierce's request, framing it as a miscalculation that only fueled LeBron's fire. Social media exploded with memes and commentary, painting Pierce as the challenger who woke the sleeping giant. Headlines focused on LeBron's statement performance, while Pierce's decision became a talking point across sports shows and message boards. This show of force moment generated memes and headlines, feeding Pierce's later media persona as the guy who battles LeBron. It was more than just a playoff storyline, it was the start of a narrative that would follow Pierce into his new career. This episode did more than just cap off their last meaningful on-court battle. It set the tone for how Pierce would approach his post-playing days. The rivalry evolved from physical matchups to battles of words and opinions, with Pierce's history against LeBron giving him a unique angle whenever he stepped in front of a camera. The public loved it. Every time Pierce spoke about LeBron, people paid attention, sometimes to agree, often to argue, but always to engage. As Pierce transitioned fully into sports media, he didn't leave the rivalry behind. Instead, he brought it with him, using it as a central part of his new identity. The story of Pierce versus LeBron was no longer just about basketball. It was about narrative, legacy, and the power of keeping a rivalry alive long after the last buzzer. And for Pierce, it became a tool to stay relevant, spark debate, and carve out his own lane in the crowded world of sports commentary. Even 5 years after suiting up, Pierce still makes headlines talking LeBron. The hardwood battles may be over, but Pierce's voice is louder than ever in sports media. Let's break down what's really happening in this new arena, the media mic drop, Pierce's post-playing playbook. Pierce is now a fixture on major sports shows, and his opinions are anything but subtle. And who's the subject of his sharpest takes? Time and again, it's LeBron James. Pierce doesn't just toss out the occasional critique. He's built a pattern of targeting LeBron with bold, headline-grabbing statements. On May 2nd, 2025, on FS1's Speak, Pierce said the Lakers must move on from the LeBron era to build around Luka Doncic. He added that LeBron had a long grasp of the whole organization and declared it was time for the Luka era. These comments aren't just offhand remarks. They're crafted to get a reaction, to fuel debate, and to make sure his rivalry with LeBron stays in the public eye. This isn't a one-off strategy. Pierce often finds ways to bring LeBron into conversations, even when the topic is someone else. When the panel debates Steph Curry's legacy, Pierce is quick to loop LeBron into the discussion, comparing their careers or questioning where LeBron fits in the all-time rankings. It's a deliberate move. By revisiting this old rivalry, Pierce guarantees high engagement, an obvious tactic for anyone building a sports media brand. If you're eyeing a media career, note how Pierce repurposes personal history into recurring talking points, key to staying relevant. His history with LeBron gives him a unique angle that other analysts just can't match. Every time he takes a shot at LeBron, it stirs up fans, sparks social media threads, and gets picked up by outlets across the sports world. That kind of built-in audience is gold for networks, and it's exactly what keeps Pierce's phone ringing for guest spots and regular analyst gigs. But what's the real motive? Is Pierce simply being honest, speaking as the truth he's always claimed to be? Or is there a more calculated approach behind every headline? The answer is probably both. Pierce knows the value of controversy in today's media landscape. Strong opinions drive clicks, ignite arguments, and keep him at the center of basketball conversations. This approach isn't just about settling old scores, it's about business. By keeping the rivalry alive, Pierce turns every appearance into an opportunity to monetize his past, positioning himself as the go-to critic whenever LeBron's legacy is up for debate. This ongoing back and forth does more than keep fans entertained. It actively shapes how people view LeBron's career, with Pierce's commentary nudging the narrative in new directions year after year. The rivalry that once played out on the court now lives on in headlines and soundbites, showing just how powerful a well-played media strategy can be. So is Pierce just being candid, or is there a calculated playbook behind every LeBron dig? Let's find out in the conclusion. They may not clash in jerseys anymore, but but Pierce versus. LeBron is alive in every headline. Their beef has morphed into a content goldmine, driving engagement and keeping both names in the spotlight. For sports media hopefuls, the takeaway is clear. Rivalries live on as content assets long after retirement. The ability to sustain and monetize these historical sports narratives is a smart business model, shaping careers and fueling networks. Their saga proves legacies aren't just about rings, they're about the stories we keep retelling. If you want more breakdowns on how athletes monetize their off-court brands, hit like and subscribe. And let us know in the comments which rivalry you'd like us to analyze next.